What is going on, guys? Welcome to this video. My name is Cameron, and recently at E3 2017 we had the revealed gameplay demo for Spider-Man PS4, and it looks incredible on the PS4. The game mechanics, the way Spider-Man moves, and just overall in the way Spider-Man is so agile and the way he moves around, etc. It just looks really awesome. Now, I have a lot of thoughts regarding this gameplay so far, and of course I have some concerns with the game, just like some of you guys would as well. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this video and let's get talking about what really matters. So to kick this video off, let's start off with saying Spider-Man is revealed to be 23 years old, recently graduating college, and now having a job. So that's where the best parts of the story comes into it, when Peter Parker's actual life in terms of jobs and graduating college collide with his Spider-Man life. 23 is supposed to be your prime age. Now, when you bring it down into Spider-Man, he's probably at his prime level of Spider-Man-ness, sort of. But where it gets a little bit complicated is that when you are a 23-year-old Peter Parker when not being Spider-Man, a 23-year-old does not have their life together. So that is a brilliant way for the drama and all that craziness to come in from Peter Parker's life into the Spider-Man side of things, and it's just going to be so awesome to see how those two worlds collide with each other. So anyway, just rewinding the clip, we also had the inclusion of different kinds of webbing, very similar to the Spider-Man Homecoming movie, which means obviously you can lay traps down to trap enemies further down the line to get them out of the way. Something else I noticed whilst watching the gameplay was that enemies realise when their teammates have gone missing, just like this guy who's being webbed by the proximity webbing device, I suppose I could call it. He noticed that his teammate was webbed up hanging from a pole, and so he ran over and then obviously got caught into the trap. It seems pretty cool. And as you just saw there, we also have environmental takedowns, and it actually looks like these are quite a prominent thing throughout this entire gameplay demo. So if there are this many environmental sort of interactive objects just in this sort of building site, then think of how many are in the actual open world gameplay. I was also very proud to see that when that enemy actually hit that guy in the face, there was a little bit of blood that came off of him. Now obviously this isn't really a major thing, but in terms of it being a Spider-Man game, I don't recall ever seeing anyone draw blood when being punched in the face in a Spider-Man game before, so I'm thinking maybe this is a little bit more for maturer audiences. Maybe that's the target audience that Insomniac Games are going for. But anyway, leaving that behind, as you can see on screen, we've got the combat showing itself in Spider-Man PS4, and it looks very reminiscent of obviously the Batman Arkham games, especially in the bottom right corner where it says circle and triangle to do a finishing takedown. That's also what happens in the Arkham games as well. I kind of don't want to jump the gun too much, because if you remember the Amazing Spider-Man games, they also looked like it was combat from the Arkham games, and it wasn't really as smooth as that. So I think for the combat, I'm going to wait until I can get some like hands-on gameplay with it, but it does look really promising. Now this is like really nitpicky, but Spider-Man is holding the phone upside down to his own face. What the heck? It's obvious that we were going to see Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, not only because this construction site is under Fisk Construction Company, but the bad guys that Spider-Man has actually been fighting against and saving is Wilson Fisk's henchmen. And just really quickly, guys, Spider-Man crosses his hands when he shoots his webs at obstacles. How awesome is that? We also had another environmental takedown with that steel beam being swung across the rooftop into those guys, and that actually made me think, like, Spider-Man doesn't kill people, but he's more than happy to swing like a 10-ton steel beam into 3 guys and potentially paralyze them for life. But moving on, as you can see on screen, we've got different enemy types, pretty similar to some of the other Spider-Man games and Batman Arkham games, in order to change up the combat and go about defeating enemies in various ways. So it's nice to see that we won't be battling the same enemies all the freaking time. Now, one thing that I may be hoping for is a new game plus mode after you complete the game, you know, where it makes the enemies harder and you don't have those red effects to tell you when an enemy is going to attack you, etc. I think that would be pretty cool, or hopefully if you could maybe turn it off in the options or something in the pause menu. You know, for the people that kind of like want a more hardcore Spider-Man realistic experience sort of thing, it'd be pretty cool. And really quickly, I just want to point this out. Look at the way Spider-Man is standing. He's full on stood up straight, chest out, head up. It looks awesome. I love it. Now, going into something else that some of you guys may not know about this game, it's actually just been revealed in like a recent interview and on Twitter and stuff like that. Mr. Negative, also known as Martin Lee, as we already know, Martin Lee is the owner of a homeless shelter or something along those lines. And he is actually Aunt May's boss in this game because Aunt May works at the homeless shelter. And so that's why Spider-Man is so surprised when he notices that it's Martin Lee as the bad guy. And just to clarify, Spider-Man doesn't know that Martin Lee is also Mr. Negative. So in my opinion, I think that's going to create some interesting plot points when we play as Peter Parker in the game, because then Peter Parker is going to be concerned about Aunt May working at the homeless shelter when he knows that Martin Lee is potentially a bad guy or Mr. Negative, etc. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Now moving on to what we're seeing on screen right now, one of my favourite things when I was watching this gameplay was when Spider-Man got hit with this crane. Because what you've got to remember is that even though Spider-Man's spider sense went off, and even though Spider-Man is a superhero with super strong powers, etc., getting hit by a crane will still knock him clean out. So I liked the fact that when he was falling off the building, he was actually out for a couple of seconds. It was brilliant to see that Spider-Man was still vulnerable to these kinds of dangers. I also really like it how we have these crazy sort of events that happen in the game, like cranes falling down and buildings being destroyed and stuff like that. You know, stuff that happens in the Spider-Man movies. And now, of course, getting into part of the gameplay that everybody seems to be concerned about, and that is quick time events. Guys, what you've got to remember is that this is just an 8-minute gameplay demo from what is one mission of the entire game. So just because there's quite a lot of quick time events in this section of the game doesn't mean that it's going to be like that throughout the entire game as a whole. But of course, I understand your concerns and where you are coming from, but I wouldn't really be too bothered about quick time events at the minute and hold judgment on that, just because it's only 8 minutes of the game, and obviously we've hardly seen anything of the game yet still. I mean, we've seen some gameplay now, but there's still so much that we're yet to see, so I wouldn't be too bothered about quick time events just yet. Anyway, moving on and getting into the part of the gameplay demo that I think most of us were looking forward to a lot, and that is the web swinging and the sort of free roaming and traversing through New York City. And I'm going to say I called it last year in the Spider-Man teaser trailer. I mentioned that the web swinging actually looks like it had some weight to it, and that is indeed the case. Now guys, again, do not judge the web swinging straight away. It's already been revealed on Twitter by Insomniac that the web swinging obviously attaches to buildings and it's heavily based off real world physics. So in order to get like some good speed and everything, you're going to have some good momentum and stuff like that. And of course, it's also been revealed that every single person each has their own individual way of traversing through New York City. So the person that was playing this demo may just have not been very good at web swinging through the city. Now, Insomniac Games is going to be showing off this gameplay again in like walkthrough demos and developer demos and stuff like that throughout this week. So just look out for that, because obviously different people web swing through the city in different ways. So keep an eye out. So moving further into this gameplay demo, we also get to be in the inside of certain environments and certain buildings, and it looks really, really interesting. Now, in terms of the free running, I'm assuming it's more based on if you just hold the sprint button, you can just automatically traverse over objects and stuff like that. That's kind of how I imagine it would be. And something else I noticed is that whilst running through this building, it did look like there was quite a few paths you could take. For example, there was one where like the ceiling fell down and you could jump through that little tiny square hole or something. I imagine you could actually do that instead of running around it, etc, etc. Now, one thing I'm wondering is if you can actually run through buildings like this and through coffee shops, etc, whilst you are just free roaming the city. Or does it have to be during a mission or something along those lines where it's more controlled? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we're coming up to the final few minutes of this Spider-Man gameplay demo, and overall it looks phenomenal. It looks like something that I cannot wait to get my hands on and play. And of course, there are a few concerns regarding the web swinging and the quick time events, etc, etc. But I don't think it's too much to worry about just yet. We're going to be getting some more story details and gameplay details and gameplay demos later this week, and of course within the coming weeks and months up to the release date for 2018. So I'd say just kind of hold judgment and just stand neutral on this game for now, until you can kind of lean towards not liking it or liking it even more within the coming months. Something else that I actually really like about this game as well is how it shows the perspective of the New York citizens on the ground when Spider-Man is flying around fighting these bad guys. And on screen right now, we've got the first person perspective of Spider-Man stopping this helicopter from crashing into the ground. And if you remember in the video that I made yesterday, I mentioned how I wish we could like stop vehicles and web up bad guys. between walls and buildings using cobwebs, etc. And that is exactly what happens with the helicopter being caught in some kind of cobwebbish webbing from both sides of the buildings. It looks awesome. Also, why didn't Spider-Man's spider sense go off when Mr. Negative grabbed him like this? Like, that's gonna blow my mind, but yeah, either way, the game looks awesome. And we also have this incredible after credits scene featuring Miles Morales, which literally blew everybody's mind when that happened. It means that Miles Morales is in the Spider-Man game. It means that he's in the Spider-Man game universe. And what could actually come for the future of this game? Will we get to play as Miles Morales? Does he have his spider powers yet? Will he be coming to the game in DLC as a playable character? Will we team up with him? Will he get his powers during the story mode of this Spider-Man game? There is so many possibilities and I cannot wait to see it. But one of the things I'm really annoyed about is the fact that I was watching the live stream and they actually cut that after credits bit out. So I didn't even know that Miles Morales was in the game until I got on Twitter. So yeah, speaking of Twitter, guys, follow me on Twitter to stay up to date on the Spider-Man PS4 news, and of course hit the subscribe button for more videos on Spider-Man PS4 and videos like this. Let me know what you thought of the web swinging and the QuickTime events and just the overall gameplay demo in general in the comments below. Let's have a conversation about it on Twitter and in the comments, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.